let's talk about self-love. What exactly is self-love? Self-love is an appreciation of one's worth and virtue. Loving oneself is something I'm extremely passionate about, hence my personal experiences with it led me to write a book called Love Yourself. Love Yourself is a book centered around a teenage girl, Lillian Gray, and her journey towards self-love and acceptance. Now, I'm almost 1,000% sure you yourself have also experienced some problems with this one. Well, Lillian did too. Let's see what she experienced. Maybe I should change myself and everything about me. It sounded like a fresh start. I could be a more social, more relatable, or popular person. For the first time, I wish that when I woke up the next day, I would wake up as a completely different person, because right now, anything was better than being me. Wow. Harsh, right? Well, that was me a few years ago. Why don't I tell you my story and how I learned to love myself? So, let's start off with what I was like back in 8th grade. I remember every single day I used to sit right next to the basketball court with my best friend during lunch in PE and just watch everyone play basketball. Now, while for you this might not be out of the ordinary because you might not like playing basketball, for me it was, because I did really enjoy playing basketball. And the thing is, to be honest with you, I would have probably enjoyed playing basketball a lot more than just sitting around. So you're probably wondering, Yamini, if you wanted to play basketball and just enjoy yourself, then why didn't you just do it? Well, I was afraid that people might judge me. And the thing is, back then, this wasn't even something out of the ordinary for me. It was like, oh yeah, it is so normal to not do something I want to do every single day just because other people might judge me. And keep in mind though, this is not even something serious like trying out for the basketball team. I mean, I was just playing basketball with my own friends. And thinking back this behavior of mine, I do find it quite ridiculous. I mean, I'm not even bad at playing basketball, and I knew that. Besides that, like I said before, I was playing with my own friends for fun. Nobody was judging anybody, and yet for a whole year and a half, I took part in no sports at all. Now, you might find this funny, but another thing that I did was avoid getting up and throwing things in the dustbin during class just because I was worried that I might walk the dustbin in a weird way. Now, these things were very clearly manifestations of my lack of self-esteem problem. Now, not playing basketball with my friends alone did not have a significant impact on my life, but this is just one example of like the 48 things that I didn't do just because I either doubted myself or was too afraid that people might judge me. You see, in my head, if I didn't do anything except the bare minimum, nobody had anything they could judge me on. So I did exactly that, and this very predictably had consequences that led to a major lack of self-confidence problem, which I unfortunately dealt for a bit too long. You see, when you doubt everything you're about to do, and think about it 10 times before you do it, and then approximately 65.892% of the time you don't do it, you lose your personality and you lose yourself. When you aren't even able to express yourself and can't get yourself to do things you want to do, it has a major impact on your life, and it truly changed the way I lived. Now, around mid-2018, once I moved to Ghana, my best friend introduced me to this K-pop band called BTS. If you aren't aware, K-pop stands for Korean pop. And during that time, they had released an album called Love Yourself. Out of plain curiosity, I listened to some of their songs and searched up the lyrics in English. And not only did I love how their song sounded, I also really liked the meaning behind their lyrics. One of my personal favorites is, I'm the one I should love in this world. Shining me, precious soul of mine. I finally realized, so I love me. I'm the one I should love. They helped me realize that people actually work towards self-love consciously. They taught me that constantly doubting yourself and normalizing it is not okay. Comparing oneself to others, thinking of yourself as not good enough is a problem, and it should be identified as one. And the thing is, Lillian in my book also experienced this. Why don't we see what kind of experience she had? Every time I think of me, I see imperfections. But now that I'm giving myself the time to think about it, it is something I should have started working on a long time ago. For the first time, I realized where the main problem lay. It was me being unsure of myself and not having appreciation for myself. Now, once this realization dawned upon me too, I decided it was time to do something about it. You're probably wondering what I did and how I got better at loving myself. Well, my way of doing it was putting myself out of my comfort zone and doing things I would have never ever done. For example, trying out for the basketball team, doing performances, actively engaging in conversation with people. And yes, these things were definitely not easy at first, but I just knew I couldn't let others control me anymore. The more things I did, the more comfortable I became with myself, and I finally started to be me. But did this really have big enough of an impact on my life that I can confidently say that all my work was worth it? Yes it did. Now, I strive to do better and I take opportunities instead of avoiding them. I started doing better at school, I made more friends, I found things I was passionate about, and most importantly, I became a lot happier. It truly transformed the way I lived. I did things that my 9th grade self wouldn't even imagine. I mean, if you told me in 9th grade that I was going to be the grade representative in 12th grade, I would have honestly found it funny. I grew, experienced, and learned things I would never have had if I hadn't accepted myself for who I truly am. So, why start this journey towards self-acceptance for yourself? Well, when you love yourself, you take care of your body and well-being. You eat better, you motivate yourself, you are more driven, and you start to appreciate the little things that bring joy to life. You finally realize that you have self-worth. And once you realize that, you begin to achieve anything you can set your mind to. You don't settle for anything less because you know you're capable of so much more. You begin to be less self-conscious about what others might say because you realize that it is time to cultivate your own identity. Most importantly, self-love will set you free. Think about it. What can hold you back when you're your own best friend, genuinely loving and supporting yourself throughout this journey of life? Nothing. Nothing and no one can hold you back. You are free to step into your greatness. You're free to pursue your goals and passions and be a light in the world. And not only are you free to be yourself, you're free to be the best version of yourself. Now, when I embarked on this journey of self-love for myself, I realized that not only had I grown as a person, I had grown as a daughter, leader, athlete, friend. And when I realized this, I wanted to raise awareness about my process. I wanted to spread happiness outwards to my community. I wanted to spread the happiness I had found. So when in 10th grade I did my personal project, I just knew that I wanted mine to revolve around the theme of self-love. The first thing I did was start off by taking interviews with people and ask them questions about what experiences they had with self-love. Now, while I was expecting at least 50% of the people I interviewed to have stories to tell me, I definitely was not expecting every single one of them to have struggled with this as much as they did. And I was shocked, to say the least. I mean, if so many people struggle with this, then why isn't it talked about more? Why did I think I was the only person who experienced this? That's why my book Love Yourself was born. I not only wanted to talk about how self-love is an achievable goal, but I also wanted to let people know that lacking confidence is normal and that you're not alone if you do. While everyone who read my book said very nice things about it, there's one response that I will never forget. I remember one of my friends, after she finished reading my book, she came up to me and told me that she cried on the final chapter. And I clearly remember being ecstatic when I heard that, because the fact that somebody connected with my book and that my book touched someone so much and that someone genuinely identified with it made me so happy, because that's exactly what I wanted to achieve. And I felt like I'd achieved the best thing in the world, because that was the whole point of the book. And true, while I've come very far from where I was 2 years ago, it doesn't mean that I don't have days where I don't feel the best about myself. Loving yourself does not mean that you're gonna love what you see in the mirror every single day. That's just not how humans are made, unfortunately. No matter how much we've accomplished, no matter how far we've come, we will always find flaws with ourselves. And that is okay. Loving yourself means that you respect yourself. It means that at the end of the day, you will always want to be yourself and nobody but you. And yes, it takes time. It's definitely not a fast process. And it's also not easy. But like I said in my book, trust yourself enough to take risks. Let yourself shine. Loving yourself takes time, but once you get the hang of it, everything else will fall into place. I promise. Thank you.